So we can start on this part of the body because we've done this bit of tree here, which goes behind the kingfisher. And I've now threaded up 2 strands of the darker autumn yellow shade with my chenille needle, and that's the one with the larger eye, still with the pointy end. Now you can see that I've drawn some blue lines here just to guide me in terms of the angle of my stitching. If you look at the photograph, you can see the sort of angle that you need. So we're going to come up with your 2 strands right in the centre of the shape, about halfway. I've started with a waist knot here away from my work because these 2 strands are quite thick, and to stitch on top of it I don't want to see any sort of bulk. So come up here and then follow the blue line and take your thread right to the edge. Now this is long and short stitch, so we're going to be doing alternate long and short stitches. And the short stitches are going to be between 3/4 and half the length of the longer stitches. Don't do them less than half. And you can do some of the longer stitches even longer. In fact, I'd like you to do that. Using 2 strands here gives the bird a nice fat body and also makes for a straighter outline at the edge, and it gives you a lovely base on which to do the second row, which is going to be done with 1 strand only. So be quite careful to go to the line. If you start in the middle of a shape when you're doing these stitches, then you're much more likely to get the lines in parallel and to maintain the angle. So I'm going to do an even longer one here. So you can see that my shorter stitches aren't really that short. So as you go up the shape in this direction, do the longer stitches even longer. So just fill the shape. Obviously you'll have some tiny stitches right in the corner there. And then you're going to weave your thread through the back to the other side. And I'll do a short one there and complete the other side. And then a much longer one. Long and short stitch is so named because the first row is basically long and short stitches. So I'm covering at least half of the shape. You don't want to cover any less than that, otherwise you won't see the darker shade. So these blue lines now help me to maintain my angle. As you get further to the end here, you can do your stitches a little shorter. Now that one I've left a gap by accident, so you can just fill it in. So I'm going to do some shorter ones down here now. But they're still going to be of different lengths if you can manage it. Make sure you're going well onto the line because you want to cover it. And if you find there's any bits you haven't covered, just do a stitch over the top. So some very tiny stitches now at the end. But you still want a tiny bit of this colour if you can fit it in. So that'll do, and I will come back and show you the next shade. You just need to thread up one strand with the next shade, and you can go back to your crewel needle. So the second row, as I've said, is in the lighter shade of the autumn yellow. You're using your crewel needle with one strand, and we're going to come up this time quite near the edge, again in the centre of the shape, but we're going in the opposite direction. And we're going to be careful to make sure we've got the same angle and go right to the line with your stitch. The next one can go a bit further up, and again take it right to the edge. So you can go right down here with your long stitches and take them up to the edge. Now you might need to do more than one row here with this colour. It depends really how much area you've got here. Let's see how we do. So I'm doing a long one. And actually, because I'm limited to where I can go, you are doing a long and short row for this second row as well. But normally it's just the first row. Now I've come up there a bit too far over, so I'm still going to continue with the stitch to save taking it out, and then I'm going to fill it in. So I'm going to go right down here and fill that bit in. Now this stitch is often called thread painting. Instead of paint, you're using your thread, and I think you can see why. Basically putting almost brush strokes in to fill that shape there. You want to try and achieve a jagged edge here. You don't want a straight line. If you've got a straight line, take it out and try again. So try and maintain your angle. You can always fill in gaps afterwards. And you know, I said that you can see different gaps when you look at it from different angles. I keep seeing gaps in this bulrush here, so I will go back and fill those in at some point. Now I think I'm going to manage with one row, more or less. But if you've done your stitches here shorter, you might need to do another row. And if you were to do that, you just go through your second row like that and go up to the top. But I'm just going to complete that. This little bit here is effectively satin stitch because there isn't room to do anything else here. I'm trying to maintain the angle. And then take your thread thread it through your stitches at the back and start again down here. Now you can go really quite near this edge because it looks as if it's too far, but it gets buried as soon as you pull the thread. Can you see? It just gets buried. So don't worry about starting quite a long way down the shape. I've missed a bit there, so let's go back again and get that. Now I don't like that angle, so that's going to come out. So I think the angle's the most important thing really. You want to make sure it looks right. So let's try again. That's better. I'm not going to have enough thread to complete it, but you just literally go right to the end, trying to keep this angle going.